everybody.
Hi. Oh, hi.
How are you? Good. Congratulations. Nice to see you. Phil Murphy. Frank. How are you? Nice to meet you. Hi. Hi. Good to see you. Where are you from? Jersey? I saw on my website, Jersey Belle. Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Good?
Yep.
Very quiet in here. Everyone good?
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome. I wanted to say a few words up front before we sort of get a chance to hear from, most importantly, our guests with us today. But it is great to be back at Rutgers, Newark, and I want to thank Nancy Cantor and her team for always so graciously hosting us. So, bless you. I believe, Nancy, this remains the case. This is the most diverse institution of higher education in the United States of America, and you and we wear that as a badge of honor, so congratulations. So I'm joined today by some rock stars. I got two to my right, my colleague in our administration, Higher Education Secretary, Dr. Brian Bridges. Brian, great to have you with us, and thank you for everything you do. On my far left, we have the Assembly Higher Education Chair and dear friend, Myla Jacey. Myla, great to have you with us. And we have, beginning from my left, Frank Edwin. Nice to see you, sir. To my immediate left, Janelle Williams. Janelle, honored to have you.
Thank you.
And to my immediate right, Celestina, how do I say it? Asabar?
Correct.
I got it right?
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. Especially to our students. And thrilled, three to my right, to have a Jersey native from Vineland, Melissa Byrne, who is a nationally recognized advocate for student loan reform. And she's the founder of We the 45 Million, which I think is one of the coolest titles of an organization out there. And again, from Vineland, New Jersey. And Melissa has advised leaders from everyone from President Joe Biden to Senator Bernie Sanders, among others, on how to alleviate student debt for millions of Americans. So before I go around and ask each of our panelists to make some observations, Donna, is that you in the back? Donna Chair in the back, who's head of AFT here, American Federation of Teachers in New Jersey. As usual, I believe, do you have a camera in your hand, or is that a... Oh, the camera's in front. You pulled a fast one on me. One of our top priorities from day one of our administration, which is now in its 6th year, has been making a college education more affordable and more accessible to every student who's willing to roll up their sleeves and work hard. And Dr. Zakiya Ellis-Smith was our first, or Smith-Ellis was our first extraordinary Secretary of Education. Brian has picked up that baton seamlessly and has run with it. We cannot allow collectively, any of us, a generation of students to have the weight of student debt holding them down. So both in my State of the State address and budget address, we spoke to the next New Jersey, where the American dream not only lives, but importantly is affordable, including a college education. Investments in higher education are about both equality and about equity. Equal access for all, while stepping up with the programs for those especially from historically underserved communities can look to for financial support. And the budget that I've proposed that we're working through with the legislature, and Myla and her colleagues are exceptional partners in that respect. That proposed budget invests in both. So to start, just to give you a sense, this budget increases the tuition assistance grants, or otherwise known as TAG, to all of us for the more than 20,000 students. Frank, I believe you're one of them, who supports are critical to allowing you to afford your education. In addition, earlier this morning, and Mila will be happy to know this, and she knows it already, but to say it publicly, I signed into law a measure that will provide TAG to 9,500 students so they can attend summer classes.
Thank you.
I think it's fair to say if I had not signed that bill promptly, Milo would have never spoken with me again. So the combination of these summer TAG awards with summer Pell Grants will enable many students to cover additional costs beyond tuition and fees, such as things like childcare or the loss of wages due to enrollment in a summer class. This budget will make more students eligible for community college opportunity grants, as well as Garden State guarantees at our four-year institutions like Rutgers, Newark, by increasing the income thresholds of eligibility up to $100,000 for each of those programs. That's a game changer. So in the upcoming academic year, based on our best guesses, we anticipate more than 14,000 students attending community college will be on one of these opportunity grants, and more than 12,000 students attending a four-year school will be on one of the Garden State guarantees. So since their starts, when you add them together, these programs have made more than 70,000 total awards for funding. How cool is that? That's a lot of lives changed. So I believe this is right. So for students like Janelle and Celestina, these investments mean being able to attain a degree without paying one penny out of pocket for tuition. I want to credit a guy in the audience, David Sokolow, who's with us. To him and his team at the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority, which I always think rolls off the tongue. I want to thank you, David, and your colleagues for securing the success of these programs. Hats off to you, my friend. We will also continue to support the student loan forgiveness programs we have created for those pursuing careers in a STEM field or in public service. Now, not every good job we know requires a degree, but we also know that a degree can be a life changer for someone aspiring to do more in their chosen field or pursuing an entirely new career. And I want to give Brian a big shout out for this, because the budget we submitted includes, in fact, it not only includes, but increases our investment in Brian's Some College, No Degree program that smooths the transitions of adults who left college, in some cases many, many years ago, but are returning to complete their degrees. Now, while today, I want to just make a quick side point before I wrap things up and turn to our extraordinary panelists. While today is a discussion about affordability, I do want to note that our commitment to protecting each student's mental health remains a high priority. We're investing $16 million in mental health services at our institutions of higher education, with another $10 million on top of that to create a statewide telehealth program for college students specifically, both on and off campus services. So back to why we're here. I'll wrap up with this. The student debt crisis is undeniable. It prevents many from being able to fully live their dreams. It holds back their economic mobility. It is why I supported President Joe Biden's efforts to help wipe clean the debt of millions of borrowers, an effort in which, I might add, Melissa is playing a huge role. And again, I thank all of our extraordinary panelists for joining us today, Nancy for hosting us, and with that, would love to turn things to our panelists. Mila, can I start with you? How big a deal is summer TAG? Give folks a sense of this magnitude.
Summer TAG is a very, very, very big deal. Last week, I met with Nancy Cantor, here in Newark, and we talked about the fact that the majority of her students work while they're in school. And therefore, having summer tag available to them is extremely important in continuing their education and pursuing their goals.
And tag more generally, you've been a huge proponent and supporter of that from day one.
Yes, I have. And I will say on a personal level, if it weren't for the financial aid that I got when I went to college, being the second of 11 children, there was no money coming from home, I would not be here today.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I had the same experience, and I paid off loans.
For the first 10 years of my marriage, I was paying
so
off loans.
the only respite I got is I went to graduate school, and they gave you a little bit of a respite, and then for 10 years from mid-20s to mid-30s. By the way, I used to keep by hand the ledger.
Yeah.
Everything. Those days are over, probably thankfully.
Well,
Celestina, how are you?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you today?
Excellent. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What year are you? What are you studying? And how has the Opportunity Grant and the Garden State Guarantee impacted you?
Well, hi everyone. How you guys doing? My name is Celestina. I'm 28 years old. I was born and raised in Nigeria, and I came to this country when I was 14 years old. I'm hoping to become a physician. And by God's grace, I made it into college, and I knew it was very challenging because I didn't have any support for family members and anybody. And I knew that in order for me to achieve my dreams, I have to work harder. And but thankfully for Essex County College, made it possible for me to continue my education by giving me the community college opportunity grant. And it changed my life, and it made it very easy for me to study. I don't have to worry so much about working full-time. And also, I graduated with honors, and made it, thank you, thank you. And I got into Rutgers University. Right now, I'm majoring in medical imaging science. And with the help of the Garden Guarantee Fund, it removed so much pressure of having to take out student loans. And since I support myself financially, work and go to school, I have to support my family back home in Nigeria. And I don't know where I would have been without this help, the grant and funding. And I am entirely grateful for this opportunity.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Did you go straight from Nigeria to New Jersey?
Yes.
Did you have family here? Is that why you picked?
I have my dad here with me, but fortunately, life happened, so I've been living by myself for like 8-9 years now.
Are you in Newark?
Yes, sir.
God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir.
I want to come see you when you've got your medical degree. And
Definitely, I'll be here.
I could use some imaging, particularly in my head. Great, great, great. Hey, Melissa, can you tell everybody a little bit about We the 45 Million? And cannot thank you enough for being with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. I count my New Jersey upbringing for being good at this, because in New Jersey, no one's passive aggressive, so you know how to be direct to get things done. So because of New Jersey, we got this done.
Talking to me?
Talking to, yeah. So I think part of We the 45 Million is that I saw that when Joe Biden got elected as president and we had the student loan payment pause. So for the last 3 years, we haven't had to make student loan payments. So raise your hand if this has been a great 3 years. And I saw that we had this window because we had a president who wanted to get things done, but we needed to make sure the conditions were correct. And so this was leveraging the voices of people with student loan debt and doing creative actions to really uplift it and to show and demonstrate that it's a positive thing to cancel student loan debt. And so we would show up with a brass band and cute signs at the White House about canceling student loan debt and really model that organizing doesn't always have to be angry, that organizing can be demonstrating what happens when you win. Because here in New Jersey, 1.1 million people are eligible for student loan relief. About 500,000 New Jerseyans applied for relief in less than a month the application was open before dark money operatives paused the relief via vengeful lawsuits. And I know that we're going to have a chance to win this because we are on the right side of history and we need this for our state. I had a borrower tell me that they survived addiction, survived jail, got their life together, finished college, and are doing counseling for folks with addiction, and now they're drowning in debt. So for someone to overcome all of that and then face this burden of debt, like, we don't have to have this way to fund college. We can do it better because every child that starts kindergarten in New Jersey should know that as long as they do the work for their education, whether it's getting a welding degree or it's going to become a doctor, because we don't want someone's parental lack of support from their parents to stop them from becoming the doctor that might cure cancer, that they can do that here in New Jersey.
I love that. Let's hear it from Melissa. I'm going to come back to you before we break just to get a sense from you on what the road forward looks like in that. Frank, you're a recipient of TAG, is that right? Tuition Assistance Grants?
Yes, I am.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Thanks for being with us today and how that has impacted your education.
Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Edwin. I go to Rutgers University, major in economics, minor in data science. Also a transfer from Essex County. I'm from Newark. I'm also Nigerian. I would say at first I never really wanted to go to college just because of the amount. You know, when you look at the amount you pay for college and you hear the horror stories about people's debt, the loans, it kind of scares you off. But, you know, just being able to get into college and being offered financial assistance through the state has really been helpful. So I would say, you know, even in some cases, you get more than you need. You know, at the end of the semester, you receive a refund, which could also help you pay for, you know, personal stuff, books, computers, laptops. You know, it's kind of crazy too, because in 2020, the first Bitcoin I ever bought was bought using my student refund. You know, because I got more than I needed. So
I'm hoping that investment paid off.
It did. Sold at 40,000. Yeah. But you know, just diving deep into it, it just gives you the opportunity not to worry while you're in school. You know, you don't have to think about working full time, 8 hours a day, thinking about. I mean, these things also lead to. I know a lot of people who work and they fail their classes just because they don't receive these types of assistance. So I'll say, personally speaking, it's really been beneficial. It's given me the opportunity to focus more on school, you know, learn new things without actually having to worry about thinking about how to pay for college. And, you know, just being able to knowing that you're going to graduate with not too much debt, you know, gives you some peace of mind as well.
Amen. Amen to that. I'm going to ask each of our students here a question in a minute, but I'll let you start thinking about it. Although we're going to hear from Janelle first, but in the buzzer round, where do you envision yourself in 10 years? Ooh. And then let's think that through. I'm not sure Mila, Melissa, Brian, and I are going to answer that question for ourselves. Hey, Brian, feel free to talk about anything, but I'm a huge fan of some college, no degree. If you could walk the folks through here, how you came up with that and how that is impacting lives out there.
Sure. So this has been a conversation in higher education circles for some time now, and the Lumina Foundation is actually brought this to the national forefront, that there are 37 million people, over 37 million people in the country who fall in this category, who started college and never completed their degree or credential. And so when I came to New Jersey, I thought about the possibility of how impactful it could be to get thousands of people across the finish line. And one of the stories, I sometimes tell a story about a family member of mine who was three classes short of an engineering degree. And this was 17 years ago, and he regrets it every day that he never went back and completed his degree. And he's had some struggles financially in order to, provide his family with a sustaining living wage. And so when I think about that family member and how we could leverage state resources to help New Jersey citizens get the credentials and tools and skills that they need in order to go back to college or go back and earn a 2-year degree, whatever degree or credential that it is, that can help them level up not only their earnings, but that of their families, and then subsequently influence their children and other members of their families as well. So I saw it as a possibility to transform the lives of thousands of New Jerseyans that could not only assist them, their families, and their communities, but also have an impact on New Jersey's economy, because we've got better prepared workers who can fill the workforce needs that the state so urgently needs. So I saw this as a win-win for individuals, for families, for communities, and the state writ large. So I think the potential here is great and will have long-lasting ripples on New Jersey and its residents.
I love it. A rule of thumb, when you hear numbers like you said, over 37 million are in this category, typically in New Jersey, plus or minus, you multiply that by 3% to get a sense of how many are in Jersey, and it's not a number that's dissimilar from Melissa, your number, on who has outstanding student debt. It's about 1 million people, I would bet.
Close to 1 million people.
Game changer.
Yes.
Absolute game changer. Brian was one of the guys who ran the United Negro College Fund before coming to this position, and you've been changing people's lives for a long time, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
Janelle, last but not least,
Hello.
how are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us why these programs, the CCOG and the Garden State Guarantee, have been important to you.
Okay, well, my name is Janelle. I am a junior here at Rutgers, majoring in leadership and management. I, too, am a transfer from Essex County College and a recipient of both the CCOG and Garden State Guarantee. I am working full-time, and I'm also going to school full-time. How I'm keeping up, I have no idea. I am 40-something years old, so
We'll leave it at that.
I left school quite some time ago, and the grants have helped me, like Frank said, not have to worry about how I'm going to pay for school. It definitely puts you in a place where you can focus more on school and do the very best that you can. So I'm not sure without these grants, I may have returned to school. It was a bit tough. Life happens, like Celestine said, and you know, sometimes you have to do things that you don't want. So I am here. I'm thankful for the grants, and I hope they keep on coming.
They will, as long as I'm here, they'll keep on coming. So I'm gonna go Melissa, Mila, Brian, and then each one of you, we need to know where you're gonna be in 10 years so we can make sure we meet up with you again then.
Okay.
And Melissa, you mentioned the dark money came in and lots of lawsuits. Give us a sense of the way forward here. What does success look like? Timetable? How do you get this done?
Sure. So right now we're in a holding pattern waiting for the Supreme Court, which is the Supreme Court. But luckily, several conservative legal scholars are very stressed because they feel like Elizabeth Pregelar, the Solicitor General, did a really good job. So they're kind of worried about the outcome, which is good for us. So hopefully we win in June, and then the president can start going forward with telling the servicers to cancel the debt. We also have a problem with SoFi. They're a bank, they sued to turn the student loan payment pause back on. So that law, and they want to basically ban the ability to ever have a payment pause again. So we're fighting at 2 levels, but thankfully we have governors like Governor Murphy, who as soon as I reached out to be like, can we have your voice right now? The answer was yes, what do you need was the response. And so I think right now the way forward is we need to remind everybody that borrowers are parts of families, and that it's not just the 1.1 million people in New Jersey who have student loan debt. They're all a part of families. So multiply that out, 3, 4, 5 people, and that kind of gives you the scale of the whole impact of this crisis. And half of those people expect to have a 0 balance when the loan payment, when the cancellation goes through. So we need everyone telling their stories. We need elected officials using your bully pulpit to remind people that this was promised And just because some people are mad because they see it as losing a game, this isn't a game. This is people's lives. And education is a right. And we wouldn't be here doing all this great work if it wasn't for educators and if it wasn't for educators preparing us to be here. And they didn't do this hard work so folks could drown in debt. They did this so people can serve their communities, take care of their families, and give back. And we need to be able to do this. So be loud, be forceful, and we're going to win. And we're lucky that we have President Biden. So we know that no matter the outcome in June, he will be fighting for us, and we'll be fighting alongside him.
So we're going to know one way or the other in June.
Yep.
Okay, God willing. We heard similarly positive feedback in terms of how the case was heard. So fingers crossed, and we will continue to use our bully pulpit. I want to bounce back over to Mila. Mila, a two-parter. The first one, I don't want to turn into you and me patting ourselves on the back, but for folks who may not have been read into the affordability and accessibility questions, this state has come a long way. Give us a sense, and you've been in that journey every step of the way. And then secondly, is there any unfinished business right now that as you hang up your cleats at the end of this year, that you, in this space, that you wish we had gotten to?
Wow, that's quite a lot. All right. First, I want to put in a plug for the FAFSA, the financial aid. Yeah, that one. Student assistance.
It's FAFSA.
FAFSA. Okay, federal student
First
aid.
cousin of HISA.
Yes, and I want to put in a plug for FAFSA because we were not successful in the Senate to get the requirement that every high school student fill it out. We are going to continue to work on that because so much money is left on the table, all right? If students and their families don't let us know what their financial situation is, then we have no way of making those funds available.
That's a great point.
A lot of our administrators did push back on the requirement, on making it a requirement, because they see it as additional work. However, it's not, because we have David Sokolow here, who is head of HISA, and he and his incredible staff, many of whom I was able to meet. Yeah, raise your hand, because these are people that are very knowledgeable. They answer the phone. They will work with a student or a student's family to make sure that they apply for everything that is available to them, all right? And that's really, really important because so many of our families think that college is not available to them. And it doesn't have to be a 4-year. Start off with community college and then transfer. It's very easy to do that here in New Jersey now. I forgot the rest of your question.
That was a great answer, and we could. The unfinished business there would be to get the Senate to get this over the goal line, right?
Yes.
So we'll do what we can on that front. How far have we come on affordability and accessibility?
In the time that I have been in Trenton, which will soon be 16 years, we have made tremendous strides, really tremendous strides. I actually think that we should have a commissioner of higher education, because the commissioner does have more power.
Did Brian slip you a 20 to raise this? Or?
No, I told him that. I don't know how he feels about it, but it seems to me that's the direction we need to go in.
That's a very good, two good answers.
Right?
I mentioned the diversity of Rutgers Newark, which obviously, Nancy, you and your team and we all wear that as a badge of honor. But more broadly, beyond Rutgers Newark alone, diversity and on the one hand, and affordability and accessibility on the other hand go hand in hand. We are, in many respects, the most diverse American state. And when you make higher education more affordable and more accessible, you bring that diversity not just to some corners of the state, but to all corners, including in institutions of higher education. Thank you, Mila. Brian, let me ask you this. I'm the chair of the National Governors Association, so that's the nonpartisan group of governors. We actually had President Zelensky on a Zoom call yesterday with about 30 of us, which was extremely historic, but also important and impactful. The reason I say that is I go around the country largely virtually or on the phone. I was on with the Puerto Rico governor yesterday on something. And I have a window into how we stack up as a state against other states. And occasionally I'll see something that is in their playbook that we haven't got yet in New Jersey. We were really good at ripping off pages out of other people's playbooks. In your capacity, how do you feel like we stack up? And are there any pages of other states or even other countries? Our apprenticeship model programs are modeled after Germany and Switzerland. So we rip pages out from around the world. We're really good at that, by the way. In your capacity, how do we stack up? And are there other models out there that you're envious of?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, I think that one thing I did want to follow up on the Some College No Degree conversation, because it reflects this kind of integrated approach to which we take things. Because this College Promise program, the combination of the CCOG and the Garden State Guarantee, actually, Janelle reminded me of this as she talked about how if she didn't have this funding, she wouldn't have come back to college. Well, the Promise program, especially the Garden State Guarantee, helps to facilitate some of those adults to come back to college and earn the degrees that will allow them to change and transform their lives and their children's lives.
I think Janelle literally said that you probably wouldn't have gone back had it not existed, right?
So it reminds me of kind of this, in partnership with our partners at HESA and the way that we work together, to use your term, the whole of government approach, and how we can work together across agencies and authorities and different organizational structures to create opportunities for New Jersey residents to literally transform their lives. So you're a perfect poster child for what we're trying to do at the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education.
Look forward to starring in some of our commercials soon.
Yes. As well as Frank and Celestina.
All three of you.
Yes, all of you.
We may send you on the road.
But one of the things I would say, I would applaud you, Governor Murphy, for the investment that we've made in higher education during your administration. I mean, we've increased our spending on higher education during your term by 30%, and that's great. I've used this conversation to help people understand where we are by using the California droughts as an analogy. Your administration has invested in higher education by far more than any administration since Governor Kane, really.
Yeah.
And in between that, there hasn't been nearly the kind of investment or attention to higher education. So I think that when I look at other states, I think about how those states have sustained their investment in higher education over the long term. And we've taken a great start here during this administration, and look forward to working in partnership with the legislature to continue the work that we've been doing to leave higher education better than we found it.
This is a great point. We have to, and this is not just in higher ed, we need to draw a line under the good behavior that we're now associated with. It turns out the young people here will probably not appreciate this, but I see Councilwoman Reverend Louise Roundtree is with us. I didn't see you sneak in there. 30, you mentioned Governor Kane. I'll go back to his time as an example. AAA bond-rated state. Invariably, other states with a difficult policy question or challenge, hey, let's look at what New Jersey's doing. We were on that very short list of states that were sort of up on a pedestal. And we lost our way on both sides of the aisle. I'm not making a political point here. We lost our way. And now collectively working with outstanding leadership, including a great relationship, and Mila's in the middle of it, that we have with the legislature, we've found our way again. And we need to make sure, and I'm confident we will, we have to draw a line under good behavior and make sure we never slip below that line again. Everything, Donna, from making our full pension payment, which we're now going to do for the third year in a row to the tune of over $7 billion, which is so large to make up for not making it for 25 years, to reducing indebtedness, to addressing inequality and inequity, to funding education and especially funding higher education. If you look at a state where I originally hailed from, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, they're a good model for what you're talking about. They've been up, they've been, to use a baseball analogy, they've been at bat year in and year out. We took several decades off and flatlined the funding. The good news is that's behind us. Let's make sure we keep it behind us, to your very good point. Okay, the most important part of this discussion, where are you all going to be in 10 years? Celestina, can I start with you?
Of course.
What will you be doing and where will you be?
In 10 years, I see myself as a physician. And my goal is to give back to my community, just as they invest in me and my education. So that's my biggest goal.
Can we keep you in New Jersey?
Yes, of course. Why not?
I love that.
Thank you.
I don't ask that lightly because, as Brian and I talk about this, and as did Zakiya and I, when we were campaigning the first time and when we got here originally, now, as I say, we're in year 6. Well, New Jersey's biggest export was our young people to other states' colleges. And then if that weren't the case, from college here to another state for a job. I think we've finally started to bend that curve. But again, that's another example. We got to stay at that. We got to make sure young people see this state, this city, beginning first and foremost, Newark, New Jersey, the brick city, and all the other exciting places in the state, including in South Jersey, where Mike Trout is building a golf course in your hometown, up and down the state. Frank, where are we going to see you in 10 years?
As an economics major and data science minor, in 10 years, I hope to be a data scientist working within the financial sector and also a business owner.
Yeah. And also?
A business owner.
A business owner. Yeah. In Jersey?
In New Jersey.
We could keep you.
For sure.
So you know this better than I do. The so-called fintech industry, which is basically data science applied to financial services, is one of our booming industries, including right here at Rutgers, Newark. Nancy's giving me, it's like a human cue card out there. Don't forget to say Rutgers, Newark. But seriously, you guys, right here, ground zero, and you're not alone. And that's the good news is, it's a little bit like that question, why are there so many people making chocolate in Switzerland? Once somebody gets successful, someone else is coming in. And I was on, I'll give you an example, Frank. I was on with the chief executive officer of Barclays Bank yesterday. So he's the head for the world. I think he's based in London, but he was in New York when we had the conversation. They have a campus in Whippany, New Jersey, and they started 5 years ago with 400 people. They have 4,000 today, going toward 5,000, and a lot of them are in your neck of the woods in terms of their expertise. Well done. Last but not least, Janelle, where are we going to see in 10 years?
Well, I would say I'm hoping to transition to construction project management. I was lucky enough for my career to find me during COVID. I'm in building development, and that's where I want to stay. My firm builds affordable homes across the state of New Jersey.
I love that.
And it's, I would say it's a quite interesting field. It is definitely not a lot of women in it. So I am hoping to be one of the first.
Working for another firm or your own firm?
We're going to keep it on the small side for a little bit,
Okay.
so probably
deal.
working for another firm.
Okay, that's a deal. And I hear Frank may be putting his own shingle out in your own firm. Is that right? I hear?
I'll try my best.
Okay, and Celestina, by definition, if you're a medical doctor, you're
By God grace.
hanging your shingle out on your own. Will we keep you in Jersey?
Absolutely.
Okay, we batted 1,000. Really, really good discussion. So on behalf of the 7 of us, Melissa and Brian and Celestina, Janelle, Frank and Mila and myself, deep thanks first and foremost to you 6 for doing this today. Nancy, for you to host us so graciously here at Rutgers Newark, which is a gem in our state. David, thank you for you and your team. Donna, we're We are America's organized labor state. So, let's hope, I'll just leave it at this to say, let's hope that gets put into action all over our state. We'll leave it at that. But thank you all so much for being with us today. Could I ask my colleagues up here if we could take a picture together? Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Thank you all.